Yes. So first of all, hello and thank you. I'd like to first of all thank the whole team at Playcon and GMR for allowing us to host this panel representing Odin Malta. Odin is an organization we've started this year with the intention of building up local events for networking and knowledge sharing around immersive tech, so video games, VFX and production, the metaverse and mixed reality. We've had some very successful activities and events in the past, and we wanted to also contribute to Playcon this year, and we have, apart from this panel, a few more panels and discussions in the main area in the rest of the days. Today I'm very honored to have with me some very distinguished guests, both internationally and locally, and I will let them introduce themselves. Nick.
Hello. Can everyone understand us? I'm having a hard time myself here. Can you? Okay. Good. Fine. I assume he asked me who I am. Is that? Yes. Okay. I'm Nick Porsche. I'm the CEO and co-CEO actually of Dorado Games, 50-man studio located here in Malta in Baluda Bay. We've been on the island for, I mean, the company's been here for over 10 years, but I've been here for 15 now. Originally came here also for a video games company and stayed because of the lovely weather. Yeah, we're making strategy games, both on mobile as well as on PC, Steam, cross-platform. We have about 300,000 daily actives, 80,000 CCU. Yeah, we cannot complain. We're going from strength to strength. Every new year, every new month is basically a better one than the one before. So yeah, we're hiring. That's us.
Thank you. Francesco.
Hi everyone. So I'm the CEO of Red Oak Studio, a game development studio based in Italy. We develop B2B application as well as video games. We are very involved with our local community, and we would love to see also Malta growing. That's why also I'm here. And we believe in the empowering between education, local communities, and game development studios.
Thank you. Chris.
Yeah, hi, I'm Christopher Mifsud. I'm CEO of Play On Words Studios. We're a narrative transmedia company based here in Malta. I've personally been here the last 6 years. I have a strange connection to the island because I'm actually born in the United States, but my father was born here, and now I've made it my home and just really become and embrace the environment here in Malta and the gaming community here.
Thanks. And Junie?
Yeah, hi, I'm Junie. I'm an operations director at the External Development Intelligence Group at Electronic Arts. My team supports EA teams worldwide with finding, signing, and optimizing external development engagements. So whenever our EA teams have a need that they need to supplement outside of their direct team, we help them find the right partner worldwide, geographically, culturally, but also with, of course, the right skill set and within the right budget. But the reason that I'm actually here is because I also accidentally founded an industry professional Discord server for game producers, project managers, folks in leadership positions, etc. Within the time span of 3.5 years, it got a little out of hand. We're now 6,000 community members, and we organize a lot of different events virtually and in person. And that's how I met Luke, and that's why I'm here.
Thanks, Junie. So, Nick, I'll start with you. When we met first 10 years ago, you were starting the local chapter of the Independent Game Developer Association, the IGDA. What was your belief then, and hopefully even now, for you to start this, for the starting of a local association for game developers?
God, it's a long time ago. When we came to the island back then, there wasn't really much going on in terms of game development. I think we were one of the first, or the first studio on the island, maybe together with the one from Ingo Mesche. But that changed, and within a short time, 2-3 years, actually a few other studios came by and we decided, hey, let's do an organization. Let's become a chapter of the IGDA back then. And we started that out, and of course it was about, well, first of all, connecting to each other, but also connecting to government at the time, which was during that time, as you know, in a time of transition as well. So it was kind of up in the air. We were not really sure whom to talk to, and so that was interesting. But the new government that came on, of course, was very eager, very interested in what we were doing, and so that was a good platform. Eventually, though, the whole thing kind of died down. This was in parts due to the age-old discussion of, you know, who should actually run it, who should actually cover the cost for it. And then on top of that, the individual companies actually had very good lead-ins into government, into the organizations such as Gaming Malta, or Malta Enterprise at the time, or even actual government. So that was already kind of happening on an individual stage. And I think that sort of led to this slow dissolution of the whole thing. It just kind of, I want to say fizzled out, but it kind of did, honestly.
All right. Hey, Francesco, from your end, you are a lead engineer, you are a certified Unreal Engine 5 instructor at universities, and you also run the Unreal Engine group in Rome. What benefits do you get out of organizing and being part of your community and these many roles that you have?
So I believe that game development is kind of a journey and is a titanic undertaking that you cannot do it alone. And that's why it's important to be in more than one place that is not only the game development reality, but also the local community, get involved in the local community, as well as having an open communication with educational institutes, since they in theory produce the developers of tomorrow. And game development studios and local communities are the best parts where all these people can meet and grow together. So personally, I'm involved in all of these realities because I believe that by interconnecting them and syncing them into on the same line, on the same page, that empowers everyone from the schools that finds the developing company and the companies finding the new developers.
All right, very good. And Christopher,
Oh, here, yeah.
I know. As somebody who runs a leadership podcast and mentorship programs for people within the game dev industry, what is usually your recommendation to these leaders and to these startups when it comes to building community and building a sense of network?
So yeah, building relationships, community. I think don't be afraid. Go and approach people. If it's not in your nature to do so, find someone to be a wing person for you to help make introductions. Building a network is key, and the only way you're going to do it is putting yourself out there. When you're first getting started, my very first shows, the very first GDC I ever went to, I went with a stack of business cards and I made sure that by the end of that show, they were gone. And then the next show, I made it important that not only was the cards gone, but I had an equal stack of other people's cards to go along with it. Over the years, I've pulled away from that. I don't need to do it so much because I have a huge network already. But it's really getting out there. But again, if it's not in your nature to go out there or whatever, find someone who is. My team loved to follow me around and go to the parties and everything because I'm like a bull in a china shop when it comes to like introducing myself, like, you know. And so it's just making yourself, but also realize that as you're after you've made those exchanges and everything, don't be looking at that network at what they can do for you. Think about what is it that I can do for them? What can I bring to them? And as soon as you make a contact and a new connection, go through and be like, hey, do I know people that can help them with this? What knowledge do I have that I can help? And do it. Act on it immediately and build those bridges. Because the key to having a network is not creating it when you need it. It's having it already ready there for when you need it. And it's also nurturing it and building upon it and making sure that like you're staying connected to the people that you're there. Because again, it takes a large community, and like in Malta, it's a very small community, but we all help each other out, and it's great to be able to turn to somebody, you know, and studios are getting smaller and smaller, so realizing that like you're not going to have hundreds of people to rely on. You have a few people, and you're not going to have all the answers. And so having a network of folks that you can turn to, especially locally, to leverage and ask and bounce things off of. And like when you're a leader, it's even harder. You're more isolated. And when you have a smaller team, you know, it's not, you can't burden your team necessarily with the issues that you're dealing with, right? It's up to you as a leader. But I can go to another leader, say Nick, and have a chat with him and be like, hey, this is what we're going through. And we can discuss it because we're on the same, you know, it's just having that network, that support system and everything. It's super important. And I think it's really easy to do just by reaching out and helping people first and building that community.
Very good. Junie, as you mentioned, you run the Discord server with over 6,000 producers, project management, development managers. So rather, either senior people or people who aspire to be leaders. How do you find that these online communities benefit these individuals on your community?
Yeah, so when we're building communities online, we make a lot of use of the short distance to connecting to others, and we can tap into people from all over the world at a moment's notice. So there's a lot of diverse perspectives that you can get access to very easily. You can connect with people from India, from Brazil, from Korea, just by snapping your fingers, and that means that you can test your ideas, you can challenge your assumptions, you can do that with a very diverse network very easily. You can also tap in to the broadest set of expertise that you can. That means tapping into people with niche expertise, like folks that you may not necessarily have within your fingertips, especially in a more local community. So that tech artist that has that one specific skill set, or that rendering engineers that knows exactly this little bit, they might not be located next door. They might be located in Korea. They might be located in the Philippines, and you can have access to that. And it's also about the speed. It's about being able to find those people very quickly, get a good feel of the industry's response to news, to the different happenings and the sentiment, and test your own first impressions against that very quickly. So there are a lot of those aspects to the distance being so short online that I find especially remarkable compared to all the different local events that I've been able to attend.
And staying on you, Junie, for a second, I know diversity, inclusions are something which are very important to you. And obviously, as somebody who is trying to run an organization that creates events and pushes for the growth of the industry, what would be something that you feel help to improve this inclusion, this diversity, and making sure that people who might not feel represented actually can have a voice within these communities?
Yeah, I think that approach isn't different for any individual worldwide. I think the step one is to assume your own ignorance. Like, you know nothing, I know nothing. And that means step one, when I attend a conference like this, is I will presume that I know nothing about the culture on Malta. I don't know what it means to communicate here. Like, we got, for the start for this event, we got a text message that said, the pickup will be at 8:30, please be on time. And I'm like, what does on time mean in Malta? Because I know that being on time means something very different in Germany versus Brazil versus India. That's just very different. So presume your own ignorance. Don't assume that you know anything about the culture that you're going to be interacting with.
Yes.
That means that for me, I want to educate myself about what it's like to communicate, to collaborate with folks from Malta. What makes that different? What makes that special? What makes that unique? What is it that you can offer to me? But as Christopher also said, what is it that I can uniquely offer to you? So as an individual, see that as a very unique experience of learning both ways, about learning about the Maltese community, but also if you are here, challenging yourself about what you know about the people that you're going to be collaborating with. What does it mean for them to have a meeting? What does the context of a first business meeting mean to them? What does a second business meeting mean? How do you build trust? How do you effectively communicate? And how does that evolve over time? So yeah, that's the approach that I take. to be as inclusive as possible. Presume that you know nothing and just go in with a lot of questions and a lot of desire and eagerness to learn.
Yes. In fact, Chris, you had the privilege of working and traveling and meeting people from various countries within the game development communities. How have these communities across the world helped you in your journey, both obviously to work in the industry and grow, but in general for the success of your career?
Sorry, what was that last part?
How did they help you for the success of your career?
How do you get help?
The communities around the world that you...
Sure. No, it's getting, I mean, it goes back to the leadership, right? I'll just focus on that. Is as leaders, they need to be building, like they need to be bridges and pedestals, right? So leaders need to be helping make connections, helping support people, not just within their teams and mentoring them and teaching them the things they need to learn to get to the next step. They need to be able to make connections outside. It helps somebody, support them, get to the next step in their career, give them actionable, constructive feedback. And then at the same time, as leaders, they need to be pedestals, right? They need to be lifting up voices, the inclusiveness you were talking about, right? Making sure that, like, as leaders, they're setting the example, leading by example, and lifting up the community. And if they spot things, because people respect them and see them, that they're making sure that it's known within the community. If you have outstanding people that are within your community, the leaders of that community should be making a point to recognize them and bring them up. And that's how you build community, because people want to feel connected, want to be felt, helped and leveraged up and noticed and appreciated. And it really does start with leadership.
Oh. Francesco, from your end, you work a lot with students and aspiring developers in your user groups and in your university. How do you encourage them to get involved into these communities and networks, and what benefits do you see them gaining from them?
From students and people participating into local communities. Yes, for beginners who is starting, I think that getting known into the industry is like one step. Either you are a person seeking for a job, or you are just a startup that needs to be known in the local community. As my colleague here said, searching support is very important. You might learn from someone who actually already has that kind of knowledge and find somehow support. And for more veterans, first of all, it's fun, because participating in local communities personally is also lots of fun. But again, in trying to help also younger generation, younger leaders, younger startups, I feel that there is a kind of power in connections in which it benefits both. Because even if you are from a person who at the moment you are giving, again, there is so much value in giving as well. And also you are making networking, you are extending your people. You don't know who are you meeting, who that person will become, and might be a key player to the local setup. It might be a very good developer, it might be a very good startup where you can build collaborations. And similar for education institutes, with another focus, it's very important for them to be part of this community. So I believe that even though it takes a lot of effort, it takes also sometimes a lot of money. So sometimes people are just paying it, that are developing, sponsoring these locals. I believe that there is benefits for everyone in the long term run.
Oh, very good, very good. Nick, you've been running a studio in Malta for over 10 years now. How have you seen the local industry evolve, and how has the community aspect evolved with it, and how do you see it, and how do you think it should evolve?
Well, it's come quite a long way. From, as I said, very humble beginnings of a few people on an island wanting to make games to literally now what I would say is a functioning ecosystem, both educationally as well as from a studio perspective. New studios opening up, coming from abroad. But I also think what is really important is the grassroots aspect. We do have local talent here. We do have very successful startups actually coming from Malta. Personally, I'm friends with some of those, and I think we should nurture them more. I think it's important that with all of the focus, of course, naturally kind of being on the larger studios, the larger corporations, we shouldn't forget that we need to nurture this talent. We need to bring up that young startup that actually goes to Steam, goes onto mobile, actually succeeds, in fact, and we should nurture this. From within the ecosystem, so us actually also speaking to them, which is something that I do personally, and I think that's important because it gives them trust, and it helps them understand the industry, it helps them understand that they're not alone in this, and not everyone is after them, but also from a governmental perspective, so that they reduce risk, they can actually go in and confidently go the next step, and then become the next player. I think that's actually what we should do, and I think also what we are doing now.
So feeding of your last point on what government and government organizations and other organizations, I guess even to the rest, what other initiatives do you think would help, maybe even what you've seen in Italy, for example, Francesco, what initiatives do help these organizations to grow?
I mean, we can talk around a lot, but in the end, it's money. I mean, factually, a lot of it is down to funding, right? And the understanding that funding in the video games industry, being a creative industry, being a passion-driven industry, in the end, always also carries a risk. It's certainly not that we are just aggregators. We are creators. We cannot ensure that even to our best capabilities, our next product will be a success. Hopefully it is, right? But we need to understand that failure is part of creating, and then actually go on with the learnings that we took from that failure and continue building up on that. And only then will we see actually real success emerge, because before that, potentially it may have been a one-hit wonder, it may have been a chance success, but only then, after numerous tries and years, can we actually say, well, yeah, okay, they've done it, and they've repeated it, and they can do it. And that takes understanding of how our business operates. And I think this is something that I cannot stress enough, is even within the video games industry, often enough we have a disconnect between the funding area, which is basically seen as something, okay, we're investing into a potential growth factor, whatever that may be, right? And the actual creative process that drives the industry, which is coming from the grassroots, is coming from the young talent, is coming from people that are passionate about what they're doing. And failure is an inherent part in that. I failed. My company has failed before. We got up, we dusted ourselves off, said, okay, shit, got drunk, got back up the next morning with a terrible headache, and sat together and thought, okay, what can we do now? And did it better. And lo and behold, right, here we are. So it's this journey that we have to embrace, and this journey that we have to help fund for young talent, or in general, and understand how the industry actually ticks in its operative level.
And anything to add on this, Francesco?
What, sorry?
Anything to add on this about how the government and how organizations can help building community?
Again, as my colleague said, it all comes down to money. That is, venues are expensive to organizing stuff. Bringing interesting and cool people to develop a community might be challenging. As a leader, yes, you can fail, but sometimes it's not that easy to fail publicly. And so also having support from other people that are making understanding a community fail is okay. It's okay not only to yourself but also to the others, but what you can learn from your failure, that is also important. So if some institutions or government might help developing the local communities, is for sure giving them a space where to grow, a kind of sponsorship, even food and drinks bring people together, and that also costs money.
Yes.
And that is another way that you could support local communities just by giving them drinks and food, which is might be a little expense for a big institution, but for little developers might be challenging. Helps a lot to grow into the local community and industry.
All right, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, the Gaming Malta, a lot of like PlayCon, these events, I think more of these kind of events. They also do some really great, I know Nick and I attend a lot of the envoys that come here from other countries to see Malta and everything like that. Those programs are really great, and I highly recommend we do more of those because it gets more of us into the same spot at the same time, which we don't do on our own, right? And I think having the support of the government and these programs to have us come together and talk means there's more exchanging of ideas, there's more, community being built, and there's more of a reliance on it. And they're very regular, but I can never say there's never too much.
Yeah.
I think there can always be more of that. And I think that's the way that, besides funding, obviously we'll always say funding, but I think that's the way that you can take some funding and make it, applicable and it reach a wider group of people, right? And kind of have a bigger benefit, because it benefits everyone by bringing us all together to communicate, show what we're doing, talk to other people, and be ambassadors for our community here in Malta.
John, any closing remarks?
Yeah, I can't agree with Chris enough. I was also going to emphasize bringing people to Malta, but also bringing Malta to others. I've been with delegations from Brazil, from India, etc. That's how I got exposed to all of those. But I think the sort of different angle that I wanted to take is to also look inwardly, to have organizations, companies, even government activities look at your why. Like, why is it that we're engaged in this? And be very selective, prioritize, like think about what it is that makes this program uniquely what it is the value that it can bring, think about the audience, and then focus specifically on that, like what is the direction that we want to grow, and what is the direction that we don't necessarily need to grow in, because growing for the sake of growing isn't valuable. You need to figure out what your leverage is, and then focus on that to be able to build out forward to the future.
Right. Thank you very much. And with that, we're out of time. So thank you all for the panelists. A round of applause, please.